Testing. Okay, well, welcome to the live tutorial session. I don't really have a curriculum set. It's just pretty much whoever rolls into the chat and has any questions, I'll do my best to help you out with that. I will timestamp everything after the live stream so that you can just go into the description or to the comment section and see, what time the particular question was asked. Let me refresh chat. See who's here. But yeah, so this past weekend I had a workshop in San Francisco with Kim Jong-gi, which was like incredible. Walked away with a lot of like new technical things, but we're still waiting for people to come to the chat, so we'll give that a few minutes. What's up? What's up, John Gaming? Hold on. Anyway, what am I drawing? What am I drawing? Well, it depends on what people ask. This is a tutorial session that we're doing right now. So the title of the video. Hey, Dimitri. How would I draw grass, trees, basically nature, I guess? How would you draw nature and grass and trees? I don't really do a lot of environmental stuff, but stuff like that. Are you talking about drawing it out or painting it? Because I've done landscape paintings, I've never actually drawn out like grassy landscapes and stuff like that. I do know that when you're doing digital, like a painting of it, you want to not draw every blade of grass. You want to... Oh, what's up, Gothcore? Yeah, doing nature and things like that really aren't my strong suits. I've never, like I said, I've never really drawn them out. I've done digital paintings of them. What were you trying to do? Hey, what's going on, guys? Argadu? Yeah, welcome to the live stream. Yeah, welcome to the live stream. We're just waiting for people to pour in, and I'll be answering any questions regarding like things you need help with. I have been asked many times to do tutorials, and I just kind of don't do them because I don't really know what topics to cover that haven't been covered 1,000 times by people with much larger channels than me. So I kind of just don't even bother. Anyway, how's everyone's weekend going? I don't know if you guys saw my latest vlog, but I just had a workshop with Kim Jong-gi, which was incredible. Well, since nobody's asking questions, I'll just go ahead and just sketch something for you. Okay, Dimitri, that is more like something I can answer. That's something that's more in my my comfort zone. What exactly are you looking for? Like, what do you mean tips? Like, is there anything specific you're having trouble with? Are you having trouble getting line weight down? Are you having trouble, like, are you not sure which pen to buy? Like, based on price? Because I know about all that stuff. But, just in general, I do use microns. I use the Sakura Pigma microns, the one that pretty much everyone uses. I do use those to ink and do lines like this. I've recently switched over to using, it's called the, I don't know what this is. I got this one for free by Sakura of America. They just gave it to me. It's called the Pigma Pen 05. This tip, it has a white tip on it like this. This is actually probably my favorite pen right now. It's really fat, but it's like my favorite pen right now. And my microns. Then Sakura has these white jelly roll pens that you can use. That's like a full white pen that you can use for highlights. And then they have brush pens, which I also like to use. So everything I'm laying down on the table is pretty much what I use when I work. I used to work with Tombow brush pens, and I like these a lot, but they ran out of ink, and I know you could refill the ink, I haven't yet. So this tutorial's not going that well. Anyway, if you guys have any questions, throw them my way. Okay, so you're trying to shade with microns. So I'll go ahead and I'll pull out my microns right now, and we'll just use that. So there are a few different ways to represent shading when you're using only pens. When you're combining a pen with like a marker, it's always different, but when you're using only pens, there are a few different ways that you can shade to give volume. Alright, so let's say, okay, so we'll take a circle, alright? Is that big enough? Can you see it? No, that's not big enough. Hold on, let me zoom in for you. Okay, whoops. Okay, so there are a few ways to show, okay. So the first question is, how do you shade with a micron pen? So there are a few different ways. One way is line weight. So like, let's say the light source is coming from here. One way you can do that is to have your line, like let's say the light's coming from here. One way you can do that is to have your lines really light over here. You could even break them, and you'll see this a lot in comic book artwork. And then as you get closer to where the shade is going to be, you actually apply a bit more pressure or a little bit more line weight to there. You just make the line thicker back here. So that's a simple thing you can do to represent kind of shading and more volume. So does that make sense? So wherever the light source is, your lines are going to be much softer, maybe even broken like it is right there. And then you get to the shadows, and then you apply that to anything, including like a full figure or a human. So that's one way to do it. That's a very like Eastern way of doing it. Another way that you see a lot in like comic books, like American comic books. So let's say you have your figure here, and your light source is here. One thing that they like to do is just cross-hatch. Is this what you're talking about in terms of you're having trouble shading with microns? So I want to make sure this is what you're talking about, because I don't want to... Because normally I wouldn't recommend shading with microns. I mean, they're good for making lines, but I mean... so like, let's say we're going to draw a person. Your light source is coming from here. You can darken up like the bottom of the chin or the ear over here. Instead of microns for shading, at least for me, anyway, when I shade, I'm using Copic markers for shading. That's what I like to use. It's just... or you could just use a pencil. And Gothcore, I caught your question. You'll be next. I'll get your question next regarding lighting. And I'm running out of ink. Anyway, for shading, I just straight up use markers or colored pencils or something other than like a technical pen, because these pens aren't made for that. These are made for like putting down lines. They're not made. I mean, you could crosshatch like this, but they're too fine. Like, you're gonna have a hard time. I would recommend Copic markers, or I mean, if you're really into it, you can use a brush pen. But this is kind of the same thing. See? So Gothcore's question is, how do you find your light source when shading? What do you mean? You choose the light source. You choose where it's coming from. When you're making a scene, when you're drawing something, when you're making your scene, you're choosing where your light's coming from. And then based on where your light's coming from, that's how you're going to shade everything around it. Now, if you're talking about how do you choose a good light source regarding your scene, that's going to come down to what you want in the scene. Like, let's say you have somebody, let's say you got this guy right here, right? If you want him to look evil, you want the lighting to come from below. That'll make him look evil. Is that what you're talking about? How do you choose your lighting? Hey Regal, it's been a while. Yeah, I actually haven't been live streaming a lot either. I've just been really busy with my own stuff right now. Yeah, Dimitri, I would not recommend microns to try and shade. Do you know who the box office artist is? Right here. He has a YouTube channel. He uses microns for everything. The box office artist. He's here on YouTube. He uses microns for everything, and he does shade with them. Not my particular cup of tea to shade with microns or Sharpies, but he works in comic books professionally. So if you want to see what that looks like, go to his channel and go look at all of his drawings, because his style is like that. So Dyed Art says, I'm not sure if the questions should only pertain to drawing specifically, but you've been trying to figure out the best time to start asking for commissions. When would you say is the best time to start? So Dyed Art, you're talking about you want to start taking commissions, like you want to start pushing people to hire you for work. If that's what you're looking for, then just do it. Like there's really no point in waiting. Like there is no point in waiting. The sooner you can get yourself out there, the bigger body of work you can make, and the more likely you are to get hired. Because if you don't put yourself out there, then there's 100% chance that you're not going to get hired. So just put it out there. Make people aware you're for hire. So Gothcore says, whenever they try to determine a light source, it always seems to come out flat. I'm not quite sure what your issue is. So you set up your scene. Hold on, let me page. So Gothcore is asking about light source. How do you just determine your light source? And they're saying every time they do it, it comes out flat. So where's my sketch with paper? So let's say you have your scene, right? Say you got a person right here. Car or whatever the fuck's going on around them, okay? And you have your light source. Just put it over here, okay? Based on that, you're gonna, determine where the light's gonna hit and where all your shadows are gonna hit. Now, if your drawing is looking flat, now again, this is just based on what you've said. If your drawings are looking flat, then it's going to be because your shading is wrong. And you need to practice that. Here. Whenever you try to determine the light source, it always seems to come out flat. So you set up your light source in your scene, okay? Hopefully you can see that. You set up your light source in your scene first, and then based on that source that you determined, then you're going to be able to see where everything else gets its light, all of the other things in your drawing, right? Now, how you render out how everything is shaded is going to be on you. Oh no, Chespin. Yeah, I'm actually going to start streaming on Twitch the freestyle drawings. My YouTube channel is essentially just going to turn into a vlog channel. And then I'm going to move my freestyles over to Twitch. I've been trying to figure out a balance, and I think I decided my YouTube channel is just going to be my vlog channel now, because that seems to be what people respond to the best. But yeah, Gothcore, do you get what I'm saying? Like, you determine where your light's coming from. Based on where it's coming from, you see on every single object that's in your drawing where the shadows are going to be and where the lights are going to hit. But in order to render it out correctly, or to make it not look flat, you have to know how to shade. Now, if you're unsure how to shade, the best thing to do is to find this sphere right here. That's incorrect. We don't want that one. The best thing to do is to find one of these spheres that show you all the different parts of the shading, of proper shading, and then you apply that to everything in the drawing. I'm bad at this. So yeah, like, let's say it's going to hit his head, okay? So we're going to take this section right here. Alright, so our light source is coming from here. He's hot. Oh, it's sunny. Okay, so let's say your light source is coming from there, right? So if you want to shade that right, the strongest highlight is going to be right here. Right, so that you can leave like white, and then it's going to be lighter here, lighter here, lighter here. It gets a little bit darker. This is me going to try and shade with the Sakura pen, which I said not to do. It's a little dark, and then you have to know the structure of the cheeks. See what I mean? And then it gets like a lot darker before it gets lighter again. It's gonna be that. Anyway. How do you proportion your face? How do you do the face? Well, it's all, you know, it's just like when you draw the body, you know how it's like 8, they say it's 8 heads. So like, for example, when you do the body, the easiest way, the most basic way to measure it is like this. Like the top part right here is the head. And then halfway through is the clavicle. And the bottom part here is where the nipples are. This is for the ideal man. Ideal man, by the way. And then this right here is where the belly button is. This right here is where the bottom of that is. Anyway, so in general, that's how you measure out the body, in general. Not everyone's body is the same, but that's how you measure that out. So same thing with the head. The head is split into a few pieces. The head's split into a few pieces here. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So, go down the middle here. So this bottom section right here. That's where the mouth is. I think it's about halfway right here. That. And then the nose hole is right here. And then the rest of this is kind of just the head. So once you learn the proportions here, then you start throwing on like eyebrows and eyeballs, and then an actual nose. That's how you keep it in proportion. It's just like everything else, you just have to measure it out. But in general, it's not that big of a deal. Like, nobody really... There are a lot of people who don't really pay attention to the proportions of the face. I'm one of those people. It's all style. Like, everyone's stylizing their stuff. So... I mean, it's good to understand this and to practice it, but most people don't care. Like that's the honest truth. And then the ears are always what are the ears? Side of the eyes, right? Side of the eyes, the bottom of the nose. Is that right? I can't remember. But yeah, you can just Google proportions of the, like, drawing proportions of the skull, and it'll show you the layout of where everything needs to go. Same thing with this, the shading sphere. Like, you have your highlight. That will be the highest, the closest point to your light source. And then it gets a little darker, way dark right here. This is the darkest spot. And a little darker, a little lighter, and then you have a little rim light right here. That's the... Yeah, you know, the whole proportions and measuring stuff out like that, it's good to... You should know that stuff. If you're gonna be a professional, you should know this stuff. If you're just doing it for fun, who gives a shit? Like, it doesn't matter. Like, if you're doing it for fun and you're just genuinely enjoying yourself doing it and you're not trying to make a bunch of money off of it, and you're not trying to be like a teacher or whatever, then who cares? Just draw whatever you like to whatever capacity you want to draw it at. Like, that's all that matters, right? But like someone like me who's trying to be like the best they can be, doing this stuff, the proportion stuff, is important to understand it. And then when you understand it, you could kind of exaggerate those particular things. And then when you know what you're exaggerating and why you're exaggerating it, that's when you get the really good drawings. Like people who do cartoons, like animators, they're very, very good at this stuff. They're very, very good. And the reason their super cartoony stuff looks really good is because what they're doing is they're taking this and they're exaggerating it to how they want it. They're not just drawing random, like, swishy lines and, you know, like cartoon characters. How do you get better drawing at perspective? Perspective is like one of the things I'm strong at. Honestly, it's not very hard. I don't know why people have such a hard time with perspective. There's only a few different ways to do it. Like, I don't have enough ink in my pen for this. Like, once you could set up the grid, once you could set up the perspective grid for whatever perspective you're trying to do, 1 point, 3 point, or 5 point, 1, 2, 3, or 5, you can pretty much do anything. Whether you need to set up the grid or you don't need to set it up. So like, so this is like the basic 1 point perspective, right? Hopefully you can see that. Basic 1 point perspective. So you got a bunch of lines coming off of it. And then you're just going to lay down your buildings on those lines. Whoops, which I didn't do. I'm just going to lay your buildings down. That would be 2 point, my bad. Right? Yeah, it's the same thing. You have to understand everything before you can mess around with it. Alright, so like, you could draw it like that, or if you practice the drawing with the grid, once you draw it enough, you don't need it anymore. Yeah, so if you want to get better at perspective, just find 1 point perspective, and then 2 point perspective, and then 3 point perspective, and then 5 point perspective, if you want to go. These two are like super fancy. Do it, practice it with the grid a lot, and then once you practice it with the grid enough times, take the time to lay down your grid. Like, take the time to lay it down before you draw on top of it. Lay it down with a pencil or something. Once you practice it enough, you'll be able to draw without a grid. Like, have them here. Like, I was at a lecture the other day, and I was able to draw that. That's technically in 5-point. I was just sketching, like I was just dicking around. But because I've drawn the grid so many times, I can just lay it out now. So it doesn't, there's nothing magical about it. Just lay out the grid. Take the time to do that. Practice on that. And after a while, you'll be able to do it without a grid. And you'll be able to draw everything in perspective. But if you want me to get more into perspective, I'm down to do that. Just let me know. Yeah, let me see. How do you draw a person in low and high perspective? Okay, that's a good question. How do you draw somebody in low and high perspective? So, again, you're going to start off with... Ooh, I'm using the brush pen. That's no good. Get a pen. Okay, so... hold on. I'll waste my good pens on this. Okay. The question is, how do you draw someone in low and high perspective? Alright, so you're going to take your scene... Okay. It's too small. Alright, so you're going to take your scene. Then you're going to set your... You're going to set up your perspective grid. So let's say your horizon line's here. Alright, let's say your vanishing point is right here. That means that everything under here, under your horizon line, you're going to be seeing it from on top. So this vanishing point, that's your eye level. That's where you're seeing it. So everything that's under it, you're looking at that from above. And then everything that's above the horizon line, you're seeing at it from underneath. That's like you're looking up at it. So this is you. Everything here, you're looking down on it. Everything there, you're looking up on it, based on where you put your horizon line. So based on that, if you want to draw a person, okay, draw a person. Like, have you ever drawn a cylinder? Basically, based on where you're going to be putting them. Does that make sense? So this is them looking at them from a higher perspective. This is looking at them from a lower perspective. So that's how you determine where you're going to put them. Now, if you're looking how to specifically draw a human and make it look like they're in a certain perspective, there's a little trick that you can do. Okay, so this paper. Here's a trick you can do. So let's say you're going to draw somebody. You just have a person here, okay? You got your person, okay? If you want to make it look like you're drawing them looking up at them, so you're, from their perspective is from underneath them, you're going to use a lot of these shapes. Okay? See, like my vape right here, you're seeing at it from on top, but let's say you're seeing at it, hopefully it doesn't leak, from underneath. When you look at it from underneath, you get like that C angle, right? Here, whoop, like that shape right there. And that applies to everything. So, the chest, let's say this guy's buff in his chest, it'll go like that. His shape will go like that. See what I mean? Now, based on those lines, you can lay down like your clothing folds, you know, things like that. There's his belt. And that will give the illusion that you're looking at them from underneath. So conversely, if you wanted to draw like you're looking at somebody from above, you just do the exact same thing, except you're going to be using this. Alright, so let's draw that same person and that same flat. Okay. And let's say you're looking at them from above. Pretty much drawing the exact same thing, except the things are facing the other way. How do you draw clothing wrinkles? Alright, I'll get to that next. So yeah. So like, let's say here's his belt line again. See how the wave on the belt line is different on both of them? And then the chin line is like that. This one is like that. That's how you can really cheat your way into making something look like you're looking at it from above or below. A lot of these. Okay. Le Random Rayquaza, I'll get to your question. Regal asked, oh, no. No problem, Regal. Alright, so alright, we'll do Dyed Art's question, and then Le Random Rayquaza will do your question after that. So, Dyed Art asks, what's the best way of drawing clothing creases? I'm not the best at clothing creases, but just a few things to keep in mind when you're doing that is... let me get another piece of paper for you. Hold on, give me a piece of paper. So let's say you're drawing somebody who has like a silk shirt, right? Silk is really thin, so there's going to be a lot of fold. I'm drawing too small for you guys. My bad. Here. So let's say you're drawing just like a silk or clothy shirt, right? It's very loose. It's very thin material, so there's going to be a lot of folds in it, a lot of give. Okay. Now, conversely, let's say you're taking a leather jacket, which is thicker, more rugged, right? You're not going to draw that with as many folds, if any, right? So the more folds you have like that, it kind of infers that the material is a lot thinner. When you have thicker creases like that, you're telling them that the material is a lot thicker. So a leather jacket will have more of those fat line folds like that, while something like silk or even cotton would have a lot of those lines going on. So I'll get back to this, but really quick, what tips do you have for a person trying to draw something new every day? I don't know what you would need tips on. Um, just be sure that you're actually drawing something new every day and that you're not just picking and choosing things you're comfortable with. I would say. If you're like, want to draw a dog, but then I'm going to draw a different dog, and I'm going to draw a different kind of dog, that's technically not a new thing every day, right? So, I would say you're already on the right track. The fact that you're trying to learn something new every day. So I don't think you need my advice. The fact that you're already on your way to trying something new every day is already a winning formula. So, but back to the clothing. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so back to the clothing stuff. Okay. So that's material thickness. That's how to represent different thickness. Let me see. So here's something in general. Let's say the arm is folding, okay? So somebody's folding their arm like this. Okay? Hopefully you can see that. The fold is going to be right here. Okay? It's going to be real tight right there. So where you have more folds on this side, you're going to have fewer to no folds on the other side. Because the material is going to be pulled that way. So in general, you're not going to have as much on the opposite side. You're not going to have as much folds on the opposite side as a side that has folds. Now that's not representative of every material, but that's a good way to kind of get started when you're drawing characters. The Daily Spit Paint Facebook group. So the Daily Spit Paint Facebook group, they have daily prompts, and then you take 30 minutes and then you try and draw something based on that prompt, and they do something new every day, and they have a selection of 3 to 4 different subjects per day. So it's a good way of kind of getting a prompt to draw something new that's out of your control. But yeah, I'm not the best with material and clothing and wrinkles and folds. It's something I'm actually really weak at. I only know the basic stuff like this. When it comes to the way a cape like falls, right? Like I'm not good about that. You know, how it would fall and hit the floor. That's something that you would probably just need to look at real life and study that. I haven't made time to study this kind of clothing. Like, here's the floor, you know. I haven't made time to do that because I'm bad. But I do know that the best way to do that, like if you take a life drawing course, they're always carrying some kind of cloth because they want to test your nuts and see if you can draw it. But yeah, are there any more questions out there? Damn, have we been on for an hour already? Yeah, I'm gonna recap on some of the questions you guys had. Boy, we had some good questions. If you guys have any more questions, throw them out now, because I think we're gonna start cleaning up. Will I ever go to Comic Palooza in Houston? I I am not aware of Comic Palooza, so I'm going to write that down. Comic Palooza. In Texas. So I'll write that down and I'll get back to you. I'll let you know. So Dimitri asks, how would I get better at painting? Horrific at landscape, rocks, and trees. Chespin says they're horrific at landscapes, rocks, and trees. So am I. So I can't help you there. How would you get better at painting? So are you trying to paint landscapes or are you trying to paint people? I can help you with painting people. I suck at landscaping, so I can't do that. When trying to create an original character, how do you know you're not stealing someone else's design? Man, everything has been done before. Like, nothing's original. If it comes out of your head, and it... Okay, so I had made an original character with goggles and, like, big robot gauntlets, and she was, like, a badass. And then somebody told me that it looks a lot like Vi from League of Legends. So I go look up Vi. This was way back in the day. I look up Vi, and I'm like, oh my god, this is exactly the character I just drew. But I didn't steal it. It came out of my brain. It just so happened to look the same. So I would say just draw whatever you're going to draw, and then just don't worry about it. Unless you're genuinely copying someone. In which case, sounds like a personal problem. Ugh. Okay. General painting techniques. I think we'll, if you guys want to throw a couple more small questions, this will be the one that we'll close off on, because I have a lot of work to do tonight. But I'll help you out with the painting. Now this is digital painting. I don't know how to real paint. I don't know how to like paint, but I can help you with the digital painting. So, alright. Look how fancy I am. What? So are you talking about digital painting? Here, let me turn up my brightness for you guys. Tips for... Alright, so we're going to get into the digital painting. We're going to get into the painting thing real quick. Just tips for foreshortening. Hold on, let me help him out real quick, because this is a lot faster than talking about painting. So tips about foreshortening. Okay. So let's say you have your character, and you're trying to get their hand like right here, okay? But then you have all that. The best thing to do is... Psychra has a good video on this, and he can explain it better than I ever can. So if you look up if you block every piece of the body. Like this is the arm. Okay, this is an arm right here. If you block off every piece of the body here. So I don't know where all my tools are with this. This is a new tablet to me, so I don't know where all my tools are yet for it. Ah, okay. So, traditional painting, I'm no use. I can't help you with that. But digital painting. So, for the foreshortening, go to Sycra's channel. He has a whole video on it. Just look that up, Sycra foreshortening, and you'll find his video. And that he could explain it way better than I ever can. I don't mean to redirect you, but it's just that's the most useful thing. So with digital, at least with digital painting, I feel like it really comes down to what program you're using. I like to paint in Paint Tool Sci because it blends really well. This is Coral Painter right now. How do I like the Mobile Studio Pro? It's pretty sick. Alright, so when you're painting something, you always start off with the bigger pieces. I never paint on a white background. I always go for the very center value, gray. So the very center, the very middle gray, right here. Just lay that out. Okay. Now I'm using a charcoal brush here, not a paint brush. I haven't really learned how to blend very well with Coral Painter. Like I said, normally I use Paint Tool Sci, but I don't have Sci on this computer right now, so I can't show that to you. So then, I do like to find my... I'll go for an all the way white, and then I'll like to find like my light source. So say my light source is coming from here, right? And then, as long as you know the planes of the face, you know what I mean? Oops, come on. This thing is misbehaving. As long as you know the planes of, come on, the planes of the face. There we go. As long as you know the planes of the face. Then you can determine where all your light is. So you start off, would you recommend a Mobile Studio Pro or a Surface Book or something to use in college? That comes down to personal preference and your budget. Mobile Studio Pro is very expensive. It is very, very expensive. I got it because I need a powerful computer, because I also edit vlogs, so I need something that can handle video editing and drawing. So that's why I got this. This is going to come down to what you like to do. I don't personally own a Surface Pro, so I can't really tell you. All I can tell you is that this Mobile Studio Pro is fucking tits. It's really good. So as long as you know, as long as you know the planes of the face, then you can put all your shading where it needs to be, or all your lighting where it needs to be. And you always start with big brushes. Whoops, that's too dark. See, I can't blend with this. But anyway, you start off by finding the plane, or you you start off with the planes. Just kind of block everything in with bigger brushes. So Are you having any specific problems when it comes to digital painting? I've played on a Surface Pro, but I've never, like, I don't own one, so it's like, yeah, I've played on it for like 20 minutes, and I could say it was fun, but I can't be like, it's something that I want to invest like hundreds of dollars on. So I can't answer that for you. Oh, by the way, I caught my first Articuno today. Like, right in the nick of time, right before the event ended. That's Pokemon Go talk. Oh, yeah. Yeah, the Surface, or the Mobile Studio Pro actually has this gritty surface to it. It's not like gritty in the sense that it interferes with what you're doing, but it has a bit of resistance to when you're drawing on it. It's not glass smooth. You can probably see it here on the reflection. It's a matte surface. You see it? It's pretty dope. So Dimitri, in regards to having trouble blending digitally, I think that is 100% the program you're using. When I have Paint Tool Sci, which in my opinion, is the best program for blending. Like, it's not even close. I think Paint Tool Sci has the best blending of any program. I can punch out like a realistic digital paint, like portrait, hyper realistic portrait on Paint Tool Sci in like an hour, just like full detail, because it's so good. If you're having some issues, because Photoshop, if you're using Photoshop, that fucking sucks. It doesn't blend. It's just stamping stuff on top of each other. This Corel Painter blends a little bit if you have the brushes right. And like I said, I'm not very good with the brushes here because, you know, I use Sci. Yo, what's up, Yugi Mation? Oh, so when I use the Mobile Studio, I haven't had it that long, but yeah, the fact that it doesn't have a kickstand sucks. I usually just stuff something behind it, like a pillow or a sock, which is really ghetto. There are tablet stands that you can buy on Amazon for like $5 that I'm thinking about getting. Though I need one that's big enough to hold this, because this is pretty heavy. But the only reason I'm drawing flat right now is because I have my camera set up straight down. Normally I would never draw flat like this. The only time I ever draw flat is when I'm making a video for you guys. But yeah, I do stuff like a sock or something behind it to kick it up. But yeah, if you're having trouble with blending, don't use Photoshop, because Photoshop is just stamps. It's stamping. Oops, it's stamping stuff on it, on itself. Oops. Here, you know what? Here, give me a second. I'll give you my settings for my brush in Paint Tool Sci. Let me write it down real quick. It's on my other computer. Let me write it down. I'll give it to you. Okay, so I'm actually going to post up. I'm not gonna find it. How would I do this best? Okay, so I'm gonna write down my brush setting on Paint Tool side real quick for you. Okay. So this is what I have written down. So min size 100%. Now this is a brush that I made myself, specifically for digital painting. 80. Texture, blending 52. Oceans at 80. Purchase distance is at 38. So this is my custom brush. This is the only custom brush that I use. So this is for Paint Tool Sci. This is specifically for doing digital painting. And then just keep opacity. So yeah, that's it. That's my setting. It actually took me a long time to figure out my perfect settings for my Paint Tool side brush, but there you go. You can have it. Make use of that. I know for Photoshop, your graphics card doesn't really mean anything. It's more about RAM with photo. At least in my experience, it's mainly your system's memory that Photoshop demands. Probably motherboard memory. We're talking like you want 16 gigs. If you don't have 16 gigs of RAM on Photoshop, you're going to run into some kind of lag. That's what I've experienced. Because I've used Photoshop on a computer that has an i3 with 8 gigs of RAM. And I used a computer that had an i5 with 4 gigs of RAM, and the i5 would lag, and the i3 did not, because the i3 had more RAM. So I personally think that depending on how much memory you actually have is what's going to determine how your Photoshop behaves more than anything else. Dang, 16, it still lags? Oh, no, okay, that wasn't you, Chessman. Okay. Have I heard of Paint Tool Sci 2? I have, but my regular Paint Tool Sci does exactly what I need it to do. So I kind of don't want to upgrade, because if I do, that's just more settings I'm going to have to learn for nothing. So I've heard of it, I just haven't looked into it, because I have no use for it. Yeah, the Mobile Studio Pro is actually really cool. I'm pretty happy with it. Did you guys get this? Did you guys write that down? Yeah, Photoshop is, of course, depending on the file size, depending on the dimensions you're working on, could make it worse. I work in like giant file sizes, and I never run into lag issues because my computer's pretty good, but it does take a long time to save my files sometimes. Would you prefer clip or Photoshop? I've never used Clip. I only use Psy for painting because of its blending. I only use Psy for that. Photoshop, I use everything. I use whatever I feel like. I've been doing my line work in Photoshop lately. This thing has a super ultra high res display, so everything's all tiny on it. Get off here. Lately in Photoshop, I've been doing my line work in it. It's okay, I guess. But there's something on this tablet. There's a lag when you use Photoshop. It's fucking annoying. It's a driver issue. It doesn't lag like this when I do my line work in Corel Painter. Not at all. See that? Yeah. How much does Paint Tool Psy cost? I don't know. I think it was $50 or something. I bought that I bought it in like 2013, so I don't know. I hate working in Vector. Honestly, when it comes to line work, doing line work digitally, I only reserve that for doing like major projects that I'm gonna mass produce, like my big Pokemon drawing or my Overwatch piece. I'll do those line work digitally because I'm gonna mass produce it, and I need to like be able to modify it, you know. But in general, I like doing my line work traditionally. Like, I don't like. I like my pens. I like doing my line work traditionally. Yeah. So Psy, if I remember right, Psy was like $50 back in the day. I don't know about it now. I know Clip Paint is what, like $80 or something like that? Yeah, I got a parking ticket in San Francisco this past weekend. I fucking hate San Francisco, I swear to God. So I went there for a workshop, and then I got a parking ticket. The parking ticket was my fault, whatever, but it was like $73, dude. And I was like, fucking San Francisco, man. $73. It's because the meter expired. I might get Clip. I'm very happy with Corel Painter. Like, I'm happy with Corel Painter to do my work. Like, Corel Painter does really good line work. Very, very accurate to traditional. Very accurate. So that's what I use Corel Painter for. I like Paint Tool Psy because I could digital paint with it, so that covers that. Photoshop is good for everything else, so I'm just kind of like, what do I need another program for, you know? Do I find the screen slippery? This screen is not slippery. No. You guys want to see what I'm working on right now? Secrets. So this is kind of my one of the ways that I do my pieces, my processes. So this is from my sketchbook. I was just dicking around one day. This is what I do. I dick around in my sketchbook all the time. So sketchbook is good because then you could just throw down any ideas you have, no matter how random and stupid they are. You never know what they're going to turn into. This was a random drawing I did like a couple weeks ago for no reason. It's because I was bored. And I actually liked it a lot. And then I showed it to a few people and they liked like the idea of it. Though I'm going to throw more cars into it. So then I'll take it in digitally. And then I'll start like digital inking over it. And then once that line work is done, if I like it, then I'll color it in, turn it into a print, and try and sell it at conventions. I have the 16. Do I have the 13 or the 16-inch mobile studio? I have the 16-inch, the one with the i7 and the 512 solid state. So the highest end one. Because when you're, the way I saw it was like, if I was going to invest that kind of money into something, I'm going to get the high-end version. I'm not going to spend $1,000 less to get something that, I don't know, just to me, if I was going to invest that money, I want to get the most powerful one, you know? How would you get a wet look when drawing eyes? Like, okay. So that's easy. Here, I'll show you real quick. Damn it, come on. So how do you get a wet look when you're drawing eyes? Alright, so you're going to draw your eye out. I'm contractually obligated to draw a female eye. Okay. So remember, the eyeball's a sphere, right? So when you shade it in, or you color it, or you draw it, you want to remember that it is a sphere, and it does have to have like a round look to it. So you always want to color it in that way. That'll automatically make it like pop out. So based on that, how do you make it look wet? You want to make sure, again, if your light's coming from there, you want to make sure you have some highlight on there. And this is what you do. Once you make it look like a sphere, which is going to be important. Whoops. Just do a little trick. Just run it across the bottom here. Oh. Make it look all shiny. Yeah. Pretty much you just want to make it look shiny. And it'll look wet. Yeah, the reason the mobile studio worked out for me, let me zoom so you guys can see it. The reason the mobile studio works for me is because I do YouTube videos, so I need to be able to edit vlogs while I'm traveling. If I was just using it for drawing, it's very likely I wouldn't have bought something as powerful as this. How do I like the user interface? Oh, wait. Oh, how do I like Corel Painter's? I like it. I like it because I'm used to it. It's kind of annoying because the windows like lock weird, but you get used to it. It's not a big deal. You met me at Indie PopCon. Got the League poster. Just want to say, keep up the good work. You were really chill, very genuine. Seemed like you're passionate about your work. Oh, thanks, Skelly. Hey, I appreciate you coming through the table at Indy. I signed up for Indy next year, so that will. I don't think I have another convention in Indy until then, but I'll be back at the Indy PopCon in 2018. I had a really great time. It was man, that town was, at least downtown. That town was awesome. Like, I dug it a lot. So I appreciate you coming through. That's the highlight right there. Have I tried drawing insects? I have not. I did not. You can muck around a lot with proportion. Oh, with insects? Yeah, I'm more into machines. Yeah, so any last questions, and then we're going to head out. If you guys kind of liked this format, it was a bit messy. This is my first time doing like a live tutorial, so I think in the future we might set it up a little bit differently. Maybe take questions beforehand so that I'll be able to jump right into it, rather than we kind of waited around for like the first 10 minutes waiting for questions to come in. So I like this. I like being able to talk about this stuff with you guys, because it's not just good for you, it's a good refresher for me to talk about this kind of stuff. So we're definitely going to do more live tutorials, but I think I'll change the format so that we have some kind of structure to it. How to make hair more bouncy? How to make hair more bouncy and not so flat? I think that just has to do with the hairstyle you're gonna do. I'm not really quite sure what you're asking, and if I'm not quite sure what you're asking. Alright, Dimitri, hey, thank you for coming through. Yes, the live stream will be available later. I'll leave it up so that you can kind of skim through it. Initially, I said I was going to timestamp all the different subjects that we covered, but it was kind of a mess. It was kind of messy. That's why I think we need a bit of a structure. So I won't be timestamping this one. You can kind of, you know, jump through it and see what we're working on the paper. Have I used... Okay, do you have any tips on how to draw anthro or animal styles? I don't, because I don't do that. So, well, I haven't done that, so it's not something I'm very practiced in. So I wouldn't be able to help you out with that. Yeah, I don't know. That's not something I'm practiced in. How do you straighten the drawing space when you tilt it? What do you mean? Oh, this? Oops. That's just the mobile studio being dumb. Like, I don't know. Whatever. It's just, that's just the tablet. Yeah, I know. When it comes to hair, I'm not even sure what you're asking. Oh, let me show you guys something. Nah, never mind. I already put it up on my wall. I wasn't gonna take it down, but it is. I normally don't use the touch. I normally don't use the touch buttons here because I have everything like hot. I have everything hotkeyed already. So normally I don't use these right here. Yeah, you kind of just have to get a feel for it with the way the whole thing works. Again, I've only had this thing like a week, so I haven't really been able to dick around too much with it. But I'll get used to it. Choose a topic and make a video? I can. Maybe. We'll see. I just wanted to give this a try. Did you guys like this? Just coming in, asking a question, and seeing if I could answer it. Just to, like, you guys don't even need help. You guys just gonna come in here and see if I can answer it. Ugh, gross. Alright guys, so thank you all for watching. Be sure to subscribe. This video will be up so that you can review it. But you know what? Here. Guys, since you're still here, throw me what topic you want to talk about next time. Give me 3 topics and we'll talk about those next time. Since you guys are here, you get to choose what the next 3 are going to be in the next live stream. Hey, Graffinity. Graffinity says, just wanted to let you know that I finished selling at my first con and your videos really helped a ton. Thanks to your vlogs, I'm honestly considering doing Artist Alley again in the future. You totally should. There is a lot of potential money to be made in the Artist Alley, so I hope it went well for you. Graffinity, if you ever need help with other Artist Alley stuff, I can, like if there's stuff in my vlogs that I'm not talking about, just let me know. Comment in any of the vlogs and just let me know, and then I'll take note of it. I'll make sure to cover that in the next ones. Like cost or travel or things that maybe I don't talk about enough. If you have questions or you're curious, just comment on any one of my vlogs and I'll be sure to incorporate that next time. Drawing figures in perspective. So next time on Dragon Ball Z, drawing figures in perspective. That's one. Digital painting. Digital painting. Drawing female bodies. I'm all down with that one. Head shaping, maybe. We covered that sort of in this one, but okay. All right, so this one for sure will be on the next one. These ones I'll decide which ones. But drawing figures in perspective is something I'm actually good at, so I can teach you about that one. But alright guys, thank you for watching, I appreciate it. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't. If you have, ding the bell so that anytime I upload a video, you get notified of it. I am going to be live streaming on Twitch more often. So head on over to, I don't have a link in the description, but I will add a link somewhere where you can go to my Twitch account. Alright guys. Oh shoot, Griffinity. Super surprised. About 50 something people from Instagram came to see you. You made about 1,400 on your first Artist Alley is really good. Jesus Christ, that's really good. For a first time, most people will lose money on their first ones. So the fact that you made 14 on your first one is really good. Solid, solid. Well done. Very well done. Alright guys. See ya. Bye.